I don't know if right now I'm so much going through a quarter year crisis as I am a quarter life crisis. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I am taking the quarter year crisis book tag. This was created last year by Róisín from Róisín's Reading. She noticed that there was the mid-year book freakout tag, there was the end of the year book tag, but there wasn't anything for the start of the year, so she thought, I'm going to put my head together and I'm going to come up with a couple of questions to keep us up to date with how the start of the year is going. I've had a pretty okay start of the year when it comes to reading. I feel like I'm a little bit behind where I was last year. I know that I am about 5 books behind where I was at the start of April last year, but there are still 8 months left in the year and there's absolutely no reason that I cannot pick it back up after that. Question 1 is, how many books have you read so far this year? At the start of April, on April 1st, I had logged 26 books on Goodreads. I am kind of on track for my reading challenges as the year goes now. My target is 100 books for the entire year, and according to Goodreads and according to Storygraph, I am about 2 books behind. I think this is doable. This is something I can very easily pick up. This is something I can very easily put the numbers right on, and I know I can get there. Question 2 is, have you found a book already in 2023 that you think might be your favourite of the year? And honestly, I think that I have. When I read Strange Sally Diamond in March, it completely blew me away. I don't think I was expecting to like it as much as I did, which sounds like a difficult word to say given the subject matter, given the dark tone of the book, but also Liz Nugent is such an amazing writer that she takes you down all of these kind of paths. She brings you down all of these roads that you think you know where you're going with the story, you think you've got it all figured out, you think you're safe, and then she completely spins you on your head and she brings you down this other path and you see all of these other things that you really missed out the first time. Strange Sally Diamond is about a woman named Sally Diamond. And when she was younger, her father would tell her that when he died, he didn't want a big fuss made, he just wanted to be brought out with the rubbish. So when her father eventually passes away, Sally remembers this advice that he gave her and brings her out with the family's rubbish. This then brings a whole lot of notoriety on Sally. She becomes the centre of a huge case in Ireland. She becomes the centre of media notoriety. But while all of this is going on, we also find out quite a lot about Sally's life, about her childhood, about her birth, and who her real parents are, because it turns out that Sally was adopted by her family and she has an entire history that she never knew anything about. Question 3 is, what were your least favourite books, or have you had a 1-star read yet? And unfortunately I've had a few, but I think out of them, I think that the one that disappointed me the most is Only If It's Us by Chloe Leese. I know that Lily from Literary Lily absolutely worships the ground that Chloe Leese walks on, and I had gone to her for some recommendations about where I should start, and she said start with the Bergman Brothers series. As of date, it was the only one that had come out, so I was a little bit interested to see what happens. I just didn't gel with any of the characters. I found Willa, who was the female main character, I found her so incredibly irritating. And I didn't find myself reaching for this book, and for me that is generally a really bad sign. If I'm not making time in my day to read this book, if I'm not putting it on when I've got a meeting's lull in work, or when I don't have to really concentrate on what I'm doing, or if I'm going out to the shop and I don't have the audiobook in my head, I'm just listening to music, it's generally not a good sign. Unfortunately, that is what happened here, and I do know that there is quite a lot of representation in this book. There is representation of an immigrant family because the male main character, whose name completely escapes me, his family were Swedish American, and I felt like I would see a lot more Swedish influences in his life, but there wasn't really anything that was brought up. I know as well that he is selectively mute and that he is deaf or hard of hearing, and I'm really grateful that people who are deaf and hard of hearing and who are selectively mute will get to see that in the pages of a book. Question 4 is, what is your most read genre so far? I don't think it's going to come to surprise to anybody who has been here for even 20 seconds. Romance. Of course, with Rom-Comathon happening in February, there was scope for me to bring my romance reading up quite a lot, and I did. I think in that week I read 5 books, mainly in the romance genre, and it has been kind of snowballing since. I had done a lot of them in January, I had also done a lot of them in March, but if I go onto my call pile spreadsheet, which I have done right now, of all of the books that I have got logged on there as of today, romance is an entire 50% section of the graph. I think that's a very good case for me to say that the most read genre this year is romance. Question 5 is, what is a book that surprised you this year? And I have already spoken about it, but Strange Sally Diamond. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. I didn't expect to be as enthralled by it as I did, but I didn't expect one of the plot points in it. It's a very dark plot point. It reminds me quite a lot of a book and a book adaptation that I've really enjoyed and that I really was impacted by at the time that I read and watched it. And I think that little kind of connection that I've already had, I genuinely don't want to say what the book and the adaptation was, because that will then give away the entire subplot that I think you need to go into blind for. But it was so good. It was genuinely incredibly hard hitting. It completely blew me away. My dad is reading it at the moment. On my recommendation, he went to Cork and got an entire copy for himself. And he agrees with me. He says it's one of the darkest books that he's read in a really long time. It is incredibly hard hitting, but also there's a lot of humor in it. And also there's a lot of kind of funny moments in it. And he said to me on a phone call recently, I don't remember having laughed as much at a book as I have at this one. Question 6, what's a book that has already come out in 2023 that you have got your eye on, but you haven't read it yet? And that is Something Wild and Wonderful by Anita Kelly. I read Love and Other Disasters last year and I ate it up whole. It featured a baking competition, it featured a cooking competition, and it featured the kind of angst and sexual tension between two of its contestants. I was obsessed with it. I loved it. And I knew as soon as Anita Kelly had another book coming out that I wanted to read, I would read the phone book if they wrote it, basically. So when I heard that Something Wild and Wonderful was coming out, I instantly put it on my radar. I have got a NetGalley copy of it, and my NetGalley reading is a little bit behind at the moment. We'll talk about that a bit later. But when I start to get my shit together with my NetGalley reading, that is one that I am definitely going to prioritize. It is about two people who are hiking on the Pacific North Coast Trail, or the Pacific Coast Hike, or something like that. The Pacific Coast, like near the coasts of Washington or Oregon or places like that. And I really love the idea of it, and that they kind of don't get along at the start, and then this whole grueling physical activity really starts to bring them together. I'm really interested to see how it's going to go. Question 7. What is a goal that you have made that you are succeeding at? I'm doing really well with my reading challenges this year. Okay, I'm 2 books behind on the Goodreads and the Storygraph one, but we move. We're keeping reading, we're keeping going. As for the Pop Sugar and the Buzzword reading challenges, I have done really well with those. I think with the Pop Sugar challenge at the start of April, I had 18 of the 50 prompts ticked off, and I had also ticked off every single one of the Buzzwordathon for every month of the year. I've already gotten my April book read. I'm doing really well with both of these. I don't think I'm going to do as well as I did last year with Pop Sugar one, just because last year I genuinely managed to tick off every single one of them, and I don't think I'd ever done that before. And I don't know if I'm going to emulate the same success, but I am going to really give it my best go. Question 8, what is a reading goal that you made that you are not succeeding at? At the start of 2023, I told myself I wanted to read minimum 2 books from NetGalley every single month, because my NetGalley reading was not as equal as my NetGalley requesting. And that has not changed. Angie from Book Roast Coppa spreadsheet, she added in a couple of sections this year about the series that you want to keep track of, and also the new books that you have acquired this year, as in that you've bought them or that you've been gifted them and how much you've been spending on them. I duplicated that sheet and I made it for a NetGalley. So instead of how much money did you pay for them, it's asking me, have you gotten this book read? Have you got this book reviewed? I think as of now, I have got about 36 or something books on that spreadsheet, and not a single one of them read. I know that we all make jokes that we go into NetGalley and our eyes are genuinely bigger than our reading tastes can allow, and then we just go, I'll have that, I'll have that, I'll have that, I'll have that, I'll have that. And then we forget that we actually have to read the book. That is genuinely something that I've done. I have got an idea in my mind for a way that I would really like to kind of regenerate my NetGalley reading, but I really need to start doing it because I'm so genuinely behind on this one. And it's not just affecting my reading goals, it's obviously also impacting my NetGalley feedback ratio, which is going to make it a little bit harder for me to get approved for the books that I actually want to read. Question 9, are there any new to you booktubers, bookstagrammers, book talkers, anyone in the book community that you have discovered in the first 3 months of the year? And honestly, there aren't really. I haven't really expanded that this much this year. Last year I had found a couple of people that are genuinely still big loves in my life, One of them was Brie from Four Paws in a Book, who is now one of my closest BookTube friends, somebody that I love spending time with on sprints, or somebody that I love running rom-com-a-thon with. And Hilary from Melted Books, with whom I've done a buddy read, and we had such a great time reading our book together. But this year, I feel like I haven't really discovered anybody. There's been a couple of people on Instagram that I've really enjoyed, who have done kind of books to read if you really enjoyed this movie, or books to read based on your star sign, or books to read based on your favorite color. I think one of them is called That Bookish Lawyer. If that's the correct name, I'll definitely leave their links down below. But other than that, I don't really think that there's anybody that has newly come into my life this year. I think I've just been concentrating on keeping the friendships and keeping the relationships that I've already got. Those were my answers to the quarter year crisis book tag. How are your reading goals doing this year? Are there any that you are keeping track of? Are there any that you are on track for? Are there any that you are kind of falling behind on? If you'd like to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me the calendar emoji. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.